Good morning, comrades. You're listening
Wow.
to WHIVLP New Orleans. I had to do the wide shot for this.
I did the whole thing. Yeah, I was
I
like
wanted to
in
do the
tight
wide
and
shot
then
just so I can get the cabinet in the shot. Just
Oh
so
yeah,
get
absolutely.
nice and
No
tight
problem.
after
No problem there at all.
that. Good morning, comrades. WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3. This is your weekly Good Morning Comrade, Jeff and Robert, here on the show. Robert, what you been up to, big dog?
Well, nothing much. What Jeff was talking about for our radio listeners is I'm actually recording from my usually the same place. Like I have an office recording setup, but
He's in the cozy setup now.
Yeah, it's a spare bedroom, and so it's like all my computer stuff's in there, and also like a spare bedroom. But I'm recording like in bed because this is where I wanted to like play video games after work. So that's what I'm doing.
Some people
else?
have gamer chairs. He's got a gamer bed.
Gamer bed. What else is going on? Let's see. It's my birthday today.
Happy birthday! I didn't know that.
Thank you. We're supposed to have a tropical storm here in New Orleans, but I don't know. I don't think that's happening. I think everything's fine. I don't know. I'll be out of town this weekend anyway. So, other than that, everything. I've been hit with revolutionary optimism, and I feel like Jeff and I talked about this offline. I think this is going to be the most online, like, Good Morning Comrade, because it is what it is. I'm sorry, like normie radio listeners, like you're gonna get an education on
y'all getting plugged into the weirdest stuff you can imagine
on what goes online today. So and what goes on online. So
strap in, folks.
This is your warning right now. Yeah, strap in. But no, I'm hit by revolutionary optimism and the man who has given me this gift of revolutionary optimism is completely unpredictable. This is like, did Marx say, or was it Stalin or Trotsky? Is like sometimes, or was it Lenin? Like things happen. There centuries where nothing happens, and there are weeks where everything happens. Like I feel like that's where we are, and I'm hit by a wave of revolutionary optimism brought to you by a man named Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm being 100% serious on that. Like I don't think the world is going to end. I don't think I'll do my conclusions first. We'll work backwards. The world's not going to end. Trump support is not going to bottom out because he literally is running a cult. He just told his cult leaders to step in line, to get in line, as you know, as of 24 hours ago. But now it's undeniable because of Epstein and because how obviously the Republican and Democratic parties it seems like all their energy is going to cover for rich and elite pedophiles, and probably more than likely on the behest of foreign intelligence agencies like Mossad. Now I can at least, I'm not mocking anyone. I don't want to like all my like people I know who voted for Trump or right wingers or whatever, but I could at least, as the world burns, we can all point and go, that's why it's burning. And there's no, like the mask is completely off. And I'm absolutely loving this. Like it's
and again, we're in so just to sort of like, you know, lay it out a little bit. The Trump administration has essentially just come out and denounced their entire basically their entire activist base, at least to sort of like Epstein oriented, you know, and again, I don't want to like. The thing about this that ticks me off specifically with the Epstein stuff and with the QAnon stuff is that there's so much BS on the QAnon side of this whole thing that it messes up the real conspiracy. That if you were sort of like a government agent or if you were somebody who wanted to kind of create that confusion, you would just make a QAnon because that would sort of make it so that the real issues and the real, you know, government problems and you know, cover-ups get covered up with get mixed up with the conspiracy theories. And you know, the QAnon people believe all that stuff. You know, they say like that's all great.
And like I don't want to like, you know, we're gonna dive into the deep end of online. Might as well just do it now. Like to come off like, you know, Brace Belden and the TrueAnon podcast. We're not 100% sure. Like it's kind of anything goes. Like I mean, QAnon. It could have been just a dude on 4chan. It could have been. It could be an intelligence agency. It could be the CIA. It's not above them. Somebody who gets played in syndication on this radio station, Sam Cedar, once said, talking about Alex Jones, he said, if Alex Jones is not a government asset, then the government would create an Alex Jones. And it's a little bit. I truly believe it's a little bit of column A, column B, but the thing about it is you don't want to get like Jeffrey Epstein being a pedophile intelligence asset is not a conspiracy theory. Like there's like it's not. So
100% true.
When we get all like, oh, did he kill himself? Did they have him killed? There's 3 now. Not only is the there's been a video forensics of the Epstein night that he
the
got so sad that he killed himself. Yeah,
the surveillance camera from the prison where he killed himself. There's minutes of
it's not
video.
It's not even minutes missing. It's minutes doctored.
Yeah.
So that's completely different than minutes missing. That's
they didn't even change the metadata on that stuff.
Right.
It was just like the sloppiest job, like just chop in like CapCut or whatever.
So this is not a conspiracy theory. So the idea is like where people get hung up is like, oh, did he kill himself? Did he not kill himself? That doesn't matter. None of that. It doesn't matter if he got so sad for the crimes that he didn't have, that for the women that he's the women. If he got so sad over the little girls that he sex trafficked only to himself, and he offed himself, that's the government story. That doesn't matter. What matters is he obviously did this around, even if he did this to himself, for his own purposes, him and Ghislaine Maxwell, he did it on that island, and he did that around the most wealthy and the most well-connected people to ever walk on God's green earth. Who were they? What did they see? When did they know? What did they know, and when did they know it? How did a guy without a college degree get a job teaching math at Harvard? Where did his money come from? Nothing makes sense except for an intelligence agent, except for being an intelligence asset. And the greatest thing about this, I tell you what, how you know this is really, really hitting, is the dumbest people you know on your job who voted for Trump and who are right wing. They've all become apolitical all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, everybody's quiet. All of a sudden, the Trump train, nobody wants to talk about it. All of a sudden, all the Trump wins accounts have all gone silent because this is undeniable.
Not even that. Like, people, like, you had Dan Bongino, you had Kash Patel, who's the director of the FBI now. You had Pam Bondi and all these people. They made, like, part of their bones was like dealing in this conspiracy stuff. They're in the administration. They are running the show. They were literally running around being like, release the Epstein files, like in Bongino's case and Patel's case, like on their, media platforms. And then all of a sudden they're just like, oh, yep, nothing to see here. And like the people, the QAnon and the MAGA people or whatever, they're coming in and they're saying like, wait a minute, we were watching you talk about this. You had JD Vance go on Theo Vaughn's podcast, literally saying release the Epstein files. You had Donald Trump Jr. on the campaign trail making speeches about releasing the Epstein tapes. Trump was asked by a reporter on like ABC or something, will you, as point blank, will you release the Epstein files? And he was like, yes, okay, sure, whatever. And he qualified it a little bit, and he kind of like backed off, but there's too much smoke. 2 weeks ago, Pam Bondi was saying that she had the Epstein files on her desk, and now they don't exist. Like, This is it's so incredibly fishy. Like, it's just like not even the dumbest person on earth could deny this.
I hate to I don't want to like make this about me, but like this kind of stuff is kind of my wheelhouse. We were joking at work today. I was like, because you've listened to the show long enough, like I worked for the sheriff's department and I was a cop, and there was a time they were like grooming me for internal affairs. And I always think like, hey, like they really screwed up by having such a bad work situation that I quit, to where like I would have been a great detective, because like let's work backwards on it. And when I'm saying this, let's work backwards from its most, let's be the most generous that we possibly can be.
The full benefit of the doubt
to the Trump administration and Donald Trump as a person. I'm going to be the most generous. So grab him by the P word. Donald Trump is accused of all this stuff. Donald Trump likes to hang out in Miss Universe dressing rooms and peep on young girls. The most generous take you can have is that Donald Trump is a very insecure man He's that guy that when we were in middle school, he'd be like, I got with Susie last weekend, right? And be like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're a liar. He's like, I'm not a virgin. I have sex all the time. Hell, I was that kid, right? It's cringy. It's embarrassing. But that's the best, because he's come out and said it for decades. I'm a perv. I'm a skis. But let's say he's lying about all that just to impress people, just to impress other men.
He just is a guy who liked Porky's in the 80s or something.
Exactly. So what that means is him and his cronies that he's surrounding around him, and it is two presidential campaigns, not the one where he was like, Obama's not because I don't remember him talking about the Epstein. Yeah. No, I just don't remember him talking about Epstein when he first ran for president. But it's three. He's had 3 presidential campaigns. Yeah. He won, lost, won. So in his 3 presidential bids, the most generous take is he's a insecure guy who's got the heart of a saint, and he ginned his whole base up around these Epstein files that didn't exist, that nobody was sex trafficked. Epstein Island's not real. Little St. James, that's all 4K lying to us in 4K. So he's been lying about this whole time to win elections. So that's the most generous take. Mm-hmm. The least generous take is this man is a serial pedophile. There's no other. There's no middle here. Yeah. Both sides are bad. You can't,
even if there is a middle or whatever.
No, and they'll come up with some like he was a pedophile, so he could spy on other pedophiles. White hat pedophile. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that. So it's like, what are we talking about? And like I said, this has made my job, because people like you and me have stayed the true course, and we're not in a cult. Yeah. We've never gone out over our skis as leftists, because that's what we do. We want material benefits. If the closest person I can think of that I would have this kind of like allegiance to would be like in the Democratic Party that the Trump voters have, is maybe like, because I thought about this the other night, like it wouldn't be Bernie, it wouldn't be AOC, maybe Rashida Tlaib. So if something like heinous came out about Rashida Tlaib, I'd be like, well, that's that. I'm like, gone, jettisoned, out of here. And
even that doesn't even seem possible. You know what I mean?
Right. But let's say, in a world where it is, right? Okay, I'll give you a real world example of how that happened for different reasons, not for like upright moral reasons, but for different, Al Franken. Al Franken had a picture of him fake touching a woman's, like pretending to touch a woman's breast. Yeah. And that was enough to get him tossed by liberals.
Well, that liberals will always do that. Liberals will always jettison whoever, as long as they're not like, as long as it's not somebody who's in the inner circle like Joe Biden.
But I guess my point is that like we're not in a cult. Any kind of politician that's looking for my vote, federal otherwise, as soon as they're no longer useful to me in securing my material needs as a taxpaying citizen, I have nothing to do with them. That's not what right wingers do, because their lives are so bad. This is literally all they got. All they got is some kind of hope that Jesus is going to come with 4 horsemen and eradicate the worst people they can think of, and there's even worse people they can think of than brown people and Muslims, and that's pedophiles. And the guy that they put into office to do exactly that, he hasn't lowered their grocery bill. He hasn't put their kids through college. He hasn't lowered their mortgage. He started more wars where he said he was going to end wars.
$800 million.
So the one thing they have to hold on to is that he was going to go after elite pedophiles. And even if he was one of the elite pedophiles, that would have been good enough for them. And he can't deliver on that. Now, who knows why? I don't know. Did he get the boss call from the CIA or the Mossad? And like you always say, Jeff, he got shown the Zapruder film from an angle that nobody's ever seen before. I don't know that part. But we do know is what's not in Donald Trump's nature, the real Donald Trump that we've gotten used to, if there wasn't something deeply, deeply concerned, like that he is afraid of, he would say, yeah, I was on the island. Yeah, it was weird. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. I saw a lot of weird things. Who could I have told? Who would believe me? But now that I'm president, I'm going to name names. And he would get the heat off of him.
Mm-hmm.
But now he can't do that. Shows you all you need to know.
Yep.
This government in this country has been, since day one, pedophile, ethno-state, racist slavers.
Yep.
And genocidal slavers. The only thing that would fix it would be to sink the Mayflower at this point, to go back in time and sink the Mayflower. It's the only thing to set this thing right. But I'm telling you, since day one, this is how it's been. And now that the dumbest guy you know, okay, he has to see it too. It's a very much what's that movie with the and I liked it, but people hated that Netflix movie, the Bird Box, where it's just like I am the one I've been infected by the Bird Box monster for decades. Now I'm going around. You and I are just opening up people's eyes and going, look at it, look at it. You can't not see it now. And I love this because as I don't have to debate the Democratic Party.
Nope.
I don't have to be like, well, if we had voted for Kamala, no, I don't have to do that. Yeah. I don't have to even talk about policy anymore because these people have never been about policy at all. They don't care. All I have to do is, oh, you want to run cover for pedophiles? Is that what you're doing right now? You got to live with that, bro. Well, that's a thought terminator. And you know what? As bad as a pejorative as like thought terminators are, this is one I'm fine with because trying to give logic to people who didn't logic themselves into the position was never going to work. So you might as well just terminate thought. And this does it.
And I want to put a point on what the Democrats are going to do in this whole thing. You notice they're not saying anything that is going to like get them implicated in this anyway, because I mean, and again, just to circle back to, do you remember this post that Nancy Pelosi's daughter put out a couple of years ago?
I do.
It was this. The Epstein case is horrific and young women deserve justice. It is quite likely that some of our faves are implicated, but we must follow the facts and let the chips fall where they may, whether on Republicans or Democrats. So that means that that Bill Clinton's out there, with all of these flight logs, with all of these connections that he has to Epstein and to Ghislaine Maxwell, that he's in there. Who else is in there? There were some high level Israeli government figures in there as well. What was that guy's name?
I don't know. What guy?
I could pull it up, but yeah, there's just like a number of people. Like this is the ruling class in this country has always been like so extremely debauched and like disgusting in this way, and there's no partisaning their way out of it. Like the Democrats want this to go away just as much as the
Absolutely.
Republicans do.
Absolutely.
If they didn't want to do that, or if they didn't want it to go away, then the evil, horrible Democrats, who, as Trump puts it, who created this entire hoax, as he puts it, they created this entire hoax just to get him. They like conjured it out of thin air just to try and nail Trump on it, which is so funny. It's so funny that that's what he's trying to go with.
And like another thing I thought, like I've said on this broadcast before, like to rehash it, is like I didn't have a problem with January 6th. The problem I had with January 6th was the people who were involved, people who participated in January 6th didn't believe in the thing that they were actually there for. And this proves it right here, because if they were ready to go take a dump on Nancy Pelosi's desk over a fake stolen election that didn't happen, there should be a January 6th every day by now. Every day these people should be storming the Capitol, demanding nobody leaves this building until we get the FBI delivers us these files, you pedophile monsters. And it ain't happening. These people are having to look at what they've created with the cruelty of their vote over the decades. And I'm so here for it. This is the most dark woke thing ever. Ever. And I still think we're cooked as a country. I'm still leaving, but this has given me like optimism to at least as this thing burns to the ground, people will know why.
This is a generation, like this is a generational issue too. Like not necessarily from the perspective as it's going to be the most important thing in our generation or whatever. But what I mean to say is this is the previous generation essentially getting discredited and getting taken down. A previous consensus that existed prior to the emerging one that we have, and what essentially, I mean, we are in the socialism or barbarism moment. The only people that aren't going to basically see where we're at on this are going to be the libertarians and the Nazis. The Nazis are just lined up behind your boy, and they're just going to just nod and just say all the stuff.
Are they,
and then
though?
the libertarian, yeah,
You think
yeah.
so? I honestly, that's a real question. I
The
don't spend a
Nazis
lot of
are,
time
and the
on
and the ones that flake are going to be they're going to turn into libertarians. Or, I mean, there's also a group of people also that are going to be disillusioned Democrats in this whole deal as well that we got to fight for as well.
Those
or
would be
libertarians.
And
there's a lot of normies that are going to be coming out of this being like, "What the hell is going on? I got no analysis."
And I want to be very clear on this. What I'm saying is, like, when I say, like, are they though? Are the Nazis really going to line up for it? Because, like, I look when I say that, like, the first thing that pops in my head is like Nick Fuentes, and Nick Fuentes is kind of like, again, this super online episode. Nick Fuentes is a Nazi, but he's also I would love to see that alternate universe where he gets access to the Trump administration, like a Tim Pool or something like that, and see how he shakes out, because he's obviously hurt. Like, from the stuff I've seen, he's obviously hurt that, like, Trump doesn't want him around, and now he's on his own little bubble, his own little rumble bubble, and he just rages against Trump. But my other point is, like, yeah, but the thing about the Nazis is, and we as leftists, like, we don't need to get involved in that. This is, don't tap the glass, don't touch the dog turd, let it be. Just watch. You don't need to like interject and try to like change it. Let them tear themselves apart. If those that want to come to us, to where, like, we don't like to sexually assault children, that's not a thing that we're into, and we're also into bringing material, like, increase, like, making your material conditions better, then, like, the door is open for you. But, like, we don't need to be moving, like, as far as we don't need to be reaching out to these people. There's they can come find us.
No, we got to find the people that don't have a political commitment. That's where we got to be. We got to be talking to people who are
soft Trump support.
What is this going on?
Yeah.
And, like, again, we're seeing a generation, like a generational politics, be discredited before our very eyes in a way that we've never seen before. Not just among like media wants to make it just about the Republicans rather than the MAGA thing, but the Democrats are just as implicated. The Democrats think by keeping their mouth shut and all this, they can sort of like skate by. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, I mean, because they're implicated too. Like, they're in it. Yeah. Like, and if they're not in it, then, like, if they're not personally in it, then they're the people.
Their faves, like Christine Pelosi said, their faves are going to be implicated.
Or the people who straight up donate to their campaigns are in it.
Yeah, their boss.
That's how it works. And the combination of soft, I don't even say soft Trump support, but just like low information voters who just come out and vote in federal elections, who are just like, yeah, Trump has swag. But now they're just like, what is this? Like, the combination of that with, like, the surging left of candidates who could potentially win and give people, like, a material, like, hand up. This is a dangerous combination for both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And they are both terrified of it. That's why I'm seeing think pieces right now that are saying that they're not from, like, nonsense.com, saying that, hey, in the New York mayoral race, both Adams and Cuomo should drop out, and they should unify, but because they are just so damaged, they should unify behind Curtis Sewa,
the guardian
angel guy, the one guy I think in all of American politics who he went the opposite way. He didn't have he wasn't a pro wrestler. He had a pro wrestler gimmick based on him.
Yeah.
Remember, Big Boss Man was the Guardian in WCW. Yeah. Like, that's crazy talk.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow. It's like, and I'm just going, please, everybody stay in. Please stay in. Stay
Watch
in.
them. I do love seeing Eric Adams come up and just sort of like talk about Cuomo, like dropout loser and all this other stuff. It's awesome.
This would be like if I had, this is where I like dream, if I was what the right wing thinks that George Soros is, and I had all this money and I wanted to throw my weight around into politics, I would be moving money around and donating millions of dollars to both Cuomo and Adams campaigns through some kind of dark money to keep them in.
Just to keep them in.
Keep them in.
I mean,
give them both 10 mil. Burn it up.
And that's the other thing too. And like that's the reason why, like all of these campaigns, like the reason Democrats don't play to win, essentially, is that the campaigns themselves are the business. That's where they get their money. That's where they sort of like. That's where they farm their resources. Essentially, it's where people make their careers. And I mean, the entire political wing of the Democratic Party, the elections wing, rather, I should say, is run by consultants. You know, they're there.
There it is.
They get a bag for fighting for the election. They drive narratives and they run fundraising campaigns and they get a cut on that. That's the kind of key and the kind of core of how that whole thing works. When you have a Zoran campaign that's actually run by people, that actually brings in volunteers and that actually stands for something and pushes for stuff that people actually care about, things like making the buses free, things about groceries, and things about like freezing the rent, like core issues that people are concerned about, then surprise, you can get enough volunteers to knock on 1.5 million doors. Surprise, you can raise all the money you need to run your campaign. The good thing about New York is that they have matching funds, called matching funds. If you raise a certain amount of money, the system in there will essentially your campaign does not have to be run just like purely on a fundraising model. Essentially, I remember during the Mamdani campaign, at a certain point, he said, "Okay, we have raised all the money that we need to for this campaign. Stop donating and start volunteering." That was the thing that they literally said to do. Yeah, which is awesome.
I mean, yeah, and like the Democratic Party
should not be about just raising money. Sorry.
No, the Democratic Party is in the business of fundraising and not winning elections. Like the Republican Party understands power, and they want power. The Democratic Party doesn't want power; they just want access to power. Yeah. They want
proximity to power. Yeah,
yeah. They want the accoutrement that power gives. They want a lanyard to get into the DNC, and they want access to an open bar, and they want companies and CEOs to give them money that they can funnel off.
They're the nobles that want to hang out around the king.
No, exactly. They really don't want to govern at all. That's why they give you they give us nothing. They go, well, you'll vote for us or we'll throw you to the wolves. It really is. It's a hostage. Yeah, it's a hostage deal. Every 2 years, in federal elections, it's a hostage deal. It's you'll do what we say or this guy will hit you harder.
Yeah. And if we don't win, it's your fault for not voting hard enough for us.
That's their strategy right now.
Nothing.
Their strategy right now is to let the world fall apart. Let Trump ravage, rape, and pillage, and then for all of us to turn to them and go, oh please, it's the midterms, please save us. Yeah. But I don't see it happening. Like even in polls of outside of generational candidates like a Zoran Mondami. You look at the polls for the Democratic Party, and they are not doing well. This just because the Republican Party is constantly shooting itself in the foot does not mean people are moving to the Democratic Party. They're just becoming apathetic.
They're polling lower than the Republicans are right now.
Yes,
in this period of time where everybody hates Trump, everybody hates the Republicans. The Democrats are polling lower than they are because they are not providing any kind of an alternative. They're not providing any kind of affirmative vision. They're just being like, look at how bad Trump is. Can you believe it? Why didn't you vote for us, you dummies? Like when Trump, at least Trump, when he's talking about the MAGA people who are worried about Epstein or whatever, he has the directness to say, oh, well, they're a bunch of idiots. Like, at least he's being honest there. The Democrats will be like, we need to build a coalition or whatever the hell. At least he's being straight. WHIVLP New Orleans 102.3 is Good Morning Comrade.
I saw a really good, I listened to Sam Cedar at lunch today, and they had a really good talk about, Democrats are afraid of being woke. And he said that, look, if you look in those word bubbles of just like, what do you think, those polls of just like, what do you think about the Democratic Party? The word weak always shows up big. And he's like, weak is just like woke is just a synonym for weak. Like what?
To them.
Yeah, but it means the same thing. It means because power resides where men believe it resides. So if the Democratic Party said, hey, you're getting health care whether you like it or not, Snowflake, people would be like, yeah, hey, we're going to tax the rich. So it's like, so your kid can go to college and you don't have to go, they don't have to go into debt so they can buy a house and they don't have to live with you when they're 40 years old. People go, yeah, that's awesome. And it's almost like the word woke. It's almost like, this is like my edgy take for the day. It's become like, and the values, like, it doesn't mean like the policies are bad. Like people aren't, when they say, oh, that's woke, they're not railing against like policies that are pro-human rights and anti-genocide and pro-worker. What they're railing against is the fecklessness and the weakness that the Democratic Party puts forth in advocating or not advocating for this thing. The word woke has it's really turned into what we used to use in the 90s. And I say we, I mean me and like other, meatheads like me. We used to say things were gay. We used to say, oh, that's gay. And like people would even say, oh man, that doesn't mean gay. Like, and we really meant that. Like, oh, we're not talking about, no, being gay is we mean like, man, that's gay, bro. Like, man, that's weak. That's weaselly. That's, it's just kind of noodly. It's wishy-washy. So woke has taken on the same like connotation,
and that's exact same thing.
Yeah, and that's why it has no more
like
bite.
Like all the words that they use to talk about like critical race theory, CRT. That's a replacement for the N word. Like woke is a replacement for gay.
Yeah, no, 100%. And the thing is, it's like again saying that they don't even really mean like gay. They don't even mean like homosexual people. They just mean weak, and it's just like that's what woke is turned into. And I can see like. I know it's a meme, and again, super online, people on the radio, dark woke. Like, dark woke is a thing that's a meme. If you're listening to this on the radio, you probably never heard that. But what it just means is saying things like, hey, you know what? I don't like pedophiles. And I think everybody the Epstein list needs to be
careful there. Don't get too far out on a limb.
What I'm saying, the Epstein files need to be released, and everybody, no matter what, I don't care if it's Bill Clinton, I don't care if it's Mickey Mouse, needs to go to prison for the rest of their lives for doing this. Hey, I don't like genocide. I just watched the Superman movie, and there's a part where like Lois Lane is living out and talking about Superman intervening in a genocidal conflict. Yeah, and she's like, well, you didn't know, blah, blah, blah. And what about this? And what about that? She's like living out. And he just yells at her and he goes, people were going to die. Yeah. That's what people want. They want decisiveness. They want, this is right. This is wrong. I'm for people not starving. I'm for people not dying for lack of medical care. I'm for people having a good, dignified life in the United States. And you've got Andrew Schultz. Is that his name? Andrew, the podcast guy?
Yeah, the guy who said that, like, oh, I like Trump because he looks like he, has
like
sex or something.
Exactly. I like Trump because he gets all the ladies. Like he literally said that. Now he's on his own right-wing podcast going, hey, the only people that are America first? Democratic socialists.
Dude.
He goes, I don't agree with them, but they're the only people that are advocating for anything that will benefit anybody. And I'm like, there it is.
When Mamdani won, I think it was either the day after or a couple days after, I actually texted former guest of the show, Harvey K. He writes a lot about like Thomas Paine and like Abraham Lincoln and a lot of the sort of like, some of the stronger figures for the sort of like, the limited parts of America that are like good and radical. He's a big FDR guy, right? And I texted him and it was like, do you think Mamdani won because he embraced like the good side of America, the part of that, like the sort of like fighting for rights, the land of opportunity, the kind of the Superman stuff? And he just was like, yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. That is because like, again, there is a part of the left, and like I do it too, like that is like a rejection of all things associated with like the idea and concept of America. And that's a good, like sort of a natural instinct because there's just so much bad stuff, but like there are good sort of nuggets in there be it the FDRs, be it the you don't have to embrace these people entirely. You need to you sort of at least need to understand what the appeal was and what the fight was. So like the idea of abolition, for example, or the idea of even though it was part of it was war propaganda, but the four freedoms, that kind of stuff, like that needs to be used to advance it, not because you love America or whatever. Sure you do, maybe you do, but like people will respond to it, and that's the important thing.
No, you're speaking my language. I say that like, I'm the most hyperbolic person you ever want to talk to. And I like, started this thing as just like get in my DeLorean and go sink the Mayflower. Like,
yeah,
this country is evil.
Obviously, it's a joke.
I'll be the first person. Whatever. I'll tell you with my full chest. This country is evil and needs to be destroyed. It does. It does. Sorry. Now, whatever that really means, do I mean like, oh, does it like crack in half and just get smitten for the earth? Okay, then that's God's plan. Or do we like set up a leftist utopia? Okay, great. That would still be the destruction of America, of what it's always been. Same diff. But I can say the same thing. I feel just like you do. I'll be like, man, I hate America. I hate America. I hate America. But every time I pass a national park or go into a national park, I go, one good thing Teddy Roosevelt did.
That's a cool thing. Yeah.
That guy was an SOB, but he did this right.
Racist.
This is the thing he did. That was good. And it should be more of this.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
When you have Medicare and Social Security and all these things that actually make it so that you can die without having to eat cat food, all the stuff that's constantly under attack right now by Democrats and Republicans. I mean, people forget. Like, what was Obama's big thing that he wanted to do? He wanted to cut Social Security and Medicare to make a deal to cut taxes for rich people with the Republicans. He wanted to have a grand bargain that that he would essentially get for being like the very serious person who did that. That was Obama. That's like everybody's fave. And then when people are running around talking about like they love Obama or whatever, I'm like, bro, you don't remember anything.
I was gonna say, not like this isn't a non sequitur, but like serious question. When did Obama started drone striking Americans in other countries? Was that first term or second? Because I'm trying to remember when I like turned on it. When I was like, this ain't hitting.
It was the second term.
Okay, good.
It was Anwar al-Awlaki was the big one, and his son Abu Rahman al-Awlaki, who I think the son was an American citizen.
Mm-hmm. No, Captain Homer in the chat we're on YouTube as well. But Captain Homer in the chat just said, going back to Carter and Clinton too. Yeah, Carter's another one. Bad president. We've talked about this because I didn't know that much about Carter until I went back and because he's before our time. I thought he was just like the peanut farmer guy who got screwed over by
2011. Okay,
in 11.
I was wrong.
But he got screwed over by Nixon, who should have went to jail for treason. But I didn't know he was such a bad president. But Jimmy Carter, bad president, good man. He walked with little to no security in Palestine because he knew that he did that for visual effect to show that, hey, the people who live in the strip are not monsters. I'm fine. I can just walk here, no problem. Good man, bad president. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to be like as hyperbolic as I am, and it's like, hey, there are things in this world like genocide. Genocide was my line in the last election. I would ask any Trump voter now, what is your line? Not pedophilia? Because it's not. I need to know where it's at, if you have a line at all. But
Lucky went to your high school, Heavy Dukes? What?
Crazy.
Whoa. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. So we could take the pieces of America that work. That's kind of our whole thing here. We could take the pieces of America that work and that are actually good, and we hold on to that, and we scrap everything else. Like, that's how winning is done. That's natural selection at its best. This idea that, the Constitution's supposed to be a living document, this idea that, like, rich people are POCs, people of capital, are just supposed to lord over us and be allowed to rape our children, and we're supposed to be just fine with it, is not how it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And we can do better than this. I was always told that this was the best country to ever exist on earth. I signed on the dotted line and signed away my constitutional rights to the United States Marine Corps because I thought it was that. And it's like, I just want it to be that. And if it's never going to be that, and this is what it is, it's just a playground for genociders and pedophiles, then I don't want any part of it, and it needs to be destroyed. Period.
Oh,
When's the
Samir
last?
Khan. I forgot about that one.
When's the last time you did a time?
Oh no, we're good. Oh, the
No, I
BHA
mean, you know.
New Orleans 102.3. Let's go.
All right.
So yeah. So apparently, Heavy Dukes went to school with Samir Khan. That's wild. One of the American citizens who was murdered by drone strike in 2011. So correct me on that one. I was thinking of Anwar al-Awlaki, who was associated with Al Qaeda, but he was an American citizen, and his like 12-year-old or something like that son, who was also killed by a drone strike.
It's so gross, and that's why I really believe that. Like, I'm sure that we're old, but we're also youngish.
Mm-hmm.
I always think that patient zero for the Trump administration and the current like Nazi regime that we have right now is Obama. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we could take steps backwards.
Oh, yeah.
and find where it lines up. But Obama with we tortured some folks, but it's time to turn the page. What is that? Well, I'm just going to start drone striking American citizens. Well, yeah. Like we're old enough, you and I, American kid from my hometown, from Tampa, Florida, just got murdered in Palestine, in the Gaza, and not in the West Bank for trying to defend his family's home from genocidal Nazi Israeli settlers. Yep. Now, we're old enough, you and I, that we remember where there's movies that were out, that Hollywood big budget movies that were, hey, if you mess with an American citizen, if you kill an American anywhere in this world, we're coming for you. Yep. We don't play that. And now there were movies starring like Chuck Norris, yep. Like Delta Force, 1 through a million, and all that garbage. But that was obviously that's never been true. I mean, I got my wake up call with that with under the Trump administration with Kamal Khashoggi, where we allowed the Saudi Arabian government
it's an ally
up in one of our allies' embassy with a bone saw, and we did nothing. So now, as we sit here, and Americans are getting black bagged off the street because they're brown, or they're Iranian mothers who've been here for 40 years in the lakeshore, who are out there gardening, and now they're being picked up by immigration service and being sent to Louisiana turbo jail, ICE jail. Mm-hmm. Obama to me is the patient zero that allowed all this. He paved the road for this.
Or at the very least, I mean, again. Like, if he's not the initiating factor, he's the custodian cleaning up on the back end, right? So, like, the right wing will go and they'll have, torture facilities in Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay and all these other black sites. And then, they'll break all the laws. And then what do the Democrats do? They come around and they just make excuses for it. They sort of, like, legitimize it. When, I mean, again, this is, not exactly the same thing. But when it came to the COVID-19 pandemic, everybody is just like on Trump's ass the entire time about we need to make sure that we're protecting people and making sure that they're safe and all this other stuff until Joe Biden got elected, and all of a sudden magically everything's cool. Fine. Everything's totally fine. We're good. It's it's ridiculous from the perspective of like, you're a normal person and you see it. And again, that's another one of those things that turns people either into leftists or libertarians. Or the people that buy in turn into liberals and Nazis.
No, we've had this talk before. It's like I don't have the same like smoke for libertarians as I do for just straight up like authoritarian right wingers, which I would consider myself an authoritarian left winger, but that's a whole nother conversation because like libertarians have their logic is bad, but it is logical. They've just come to the wrong
right except the conclusion.
Exactly. They're a doctor that like they've diagnosed the disease perfectly, but they write the wrong prescription. And so, but like, I feel like not that, I have to spend my life like reaching out to libertarians because I think, Jeff would agree with me. Like a lot of these people are just secret fascists. Libertarianism comes in and out of favor whenever fascism and Nazism comes in and out of favor. Yeah. As soon as Trump won, all the libertarians went away. As soon as the liberals ascend just a little bit, all of a sudden people like flock to libertarianism. But I mean like the libertarians like Iran and a Ron Paul. To where like I can disagree with you, but I understand how you got there, and it's because how you got there is
I will say Rand Paul
fault of the government.
Rand Paul is way less of a rogue on this kind of stuff than Ron Paul was, even though Ron Paul was way more outwardly racist.
Yeah, but the thing is, okay, I know we got another topic to cover, but like we got 15 minutes left. But like Rand Paul could sit here. I'll we're going on a side, but it's okay. I think it is important. Rand Paul to my face, without blinking, we could sit down and he would tell me that he would not have voted for the civil rights bill. And the reasons that he gives are logical, but they're just bad logic. Yeah. I don't think he's racist. I think that that's just his logic to where like people should have free association. And if I have an ice cream stand and I only want to sell to a certain amount of people, well then like society will be good enough to where like society will be upright enough to be like, well, we're just not going to patronize that ice cream stand because Robert Johnson doesn't want to sell to white people. Yeah. And I get that. It's wrong. It's 100% wrong. It's objectively, provably wrong, but I understand it.
I think that and maybe you feel differently about this, like specifically with Rand Paul, like I'm not so sure he believes it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
With that Massey guy, I think he's probably a little bit more of a true believer. But also at the same time with him, like he also does not want to like, he was against that Trump bill or whatever, but also like he doesn't want any Medicaid. He doesn't want any Medicare. He doesn't want any of that stuff because that's the government intervening in people's lives. And I'm just like, come on, dog.
Well, my theory is that the libertarians who are not hiding the ball, who are not hiding the ball of racism, their logic is that I pay taxes to the government and I receive nothing or very minimal. So I think if you were able to take that person and pick them up like, Zeus would pick up the little clay figures in Clash of the Titans, and you drop that person into Norway and you give them a decent life, I don't think they would mind their 70% tax or whatever they pay over there. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they're now. Again, there's plenty of them. Like I said, it goes in and out. Yeah. When racism is cool, libertarianism becomes not cool. When racism is not cool, libertarianism becomes cool again. So there is a Venn diagram there. But
you also see it with the trajectory of somebody like Glenn Greenwald. So like he'll like slide around and like he basically just orients himself against because he is kind of a libertarian. He's like mostly a libertarian, I think. Or at least on the civil rights side of things, which hey, I agree with a lot of libertarians on the civil rights side of things, except for like we need to actually actively unroll things like racism or whatever. Mm-hmm. But like and I don't think he would necessarily even disagree that hard with that. He's much more against surveillance and things like that. But when the Democrats are in charge, he just goes like blindly. He goes on like Tucker Carlson's show and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know, dog. Like, can you be for real? Like, you want to be friends with that guy? You know what I mean?
See, but I still watch Glenn Greenwald because this goes in my thing of just like material realism. Yeah. He is a good.
He's not the enemy.
He's a good. Investigative journalist, great journalist. But do I want to listen to his social commentary? No. Same thing. You know who else is like that? The Pentagon of Virtue, Norm Finkelstein.
Oh yeah,
Norm Finkelstein. Please talk to me about Palestine all day.
Don't talk to me about trans people.
Don't talk to me about trans people, dog. That's not your lane. I don't want to hear about it. And speaking of trans people, with our last 10 minutes, I think there was a thing that you want. That's
I do want to talk about this just from a like briefly. Because it is something that popped up and it is kind of super online a little bit. But there is a content creator that we've talked about quite a bit on the show named ContraPoints, Natalie Wynn. Mm-hmm. And she did let's call it an effort post where she essentially did the Ethan Klein thing to a certain extent, not anywhere nearly as insane as him, because she's not just like going after like single-minded, like she's not in love with Hassan and not single-mindedly just like throwing rocks at his window and brick through his door, or whatever, like Ethan Klein's doing. But she essentially did the like, She did the old. Yes, I do think it's a genocide, and yes, I do think that focusing on the genocide so much cost the Democrats the election, kind of thing, and like that, and like talking about. She made it like about herself in a weird way too. I don't know. What did you think of that, Robert?
Absolute garbage, absolute diva garbage. But I wasn't surprised because it's like fork found in kitchen. So again, this is a trans woman who I was a big fan of hers. I liked her, I liked her intellectual takes on leftism. Where I got off the train is when she started cozying up to and this is one of my like Twitter, back in Twitter days, the ye olde days of Twitter.
I'm still on there like an idiot.
No, I mean like when it was Twitter,
back
it wasn't
when Twitter
X.
was fun.
She started like, I had a rando on the internet, me, had a knockdown, drag out Twitter thread with trans adult movie star Buck Angel. And God. Trans is a female to male transition. Yeah. But they're also a trans medicalist, to where like they don't, to save everybody the trouble of being online, they don't think trans women are women and trans men are men. Period. So when ContraPoints was buddying up with him, with Buck Angel, I was out. I was like, oh, I'm done with this. Like, we're not doing this. But I wouldn't, like, this is the first time
talking about it all the time.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about it because that's family business. Yeah. That's family business. Let the family, let the queer community, trans community sort that out. I don't have a place to be here. That's why this doesn't surprise me that she came out with her garbage enlightened centrism takes on a genocide, because I'm like, oh, this is who you are. This is who you always were. And the thing about her is, like, when that whole Buck Angel, I started digging into her because I thought she was just, a lady making content on the internet. She is, and you can get, obviously you can get past your, whatever you did in the past. We're not here to crucify people on that. But she used to be a right-wing Islamophobic troll on 4chan, making 4chan posts. So here we are as a woman who spent all this time and energy to transition into a woman, but she didn't spend any time or energy to transition from a 4chan troll to a human being. So I've been done with that. It didn't surprise me at all. The thing that did surprise me is the instant clapback from her own subreddit, her own fans, and from people who have much bigger platforms than we do, which it just tells me nature is healing. Because a decade ago, this enlightened centrism, third way, Bill Clinton garbage of what got us here was all the rage. And it is dead. It is, like I said, it is woke is back. We're riding dark woke all the way to, I don't know where we're going. I'm not telling you to vote for, because God knows, not to be
go woke or go broke.
But seriously, kindness is back. Humanity is back. Being against things that are evil, like genocide and child rape, are back. And I'm just here for it. I'm here. I'm super here for it, for all the people who clap back on her like that. And I'm like, good. That's the way you whip your quote unquote allies back into line. Like, we should be a big tent with hard fences where they are third rails or you do not cross. And it's
the big tent's got rules, right?
Exactly. Civil rights, genocide, racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism. You start creeping up against civil rights and stuff like that, you can't sit with us anymore. Other than that, I don't care what you do. It's fine with me.
Or who you are, even.
Yeah, who you are. I mean, cool, whatever, man. But it's just like that she could, and she knew. So it's like, who is it? And cynically, who is this for? Because somebody asked her on Twitter, on X. They said, hey, what are your thoughts on Israel-Palestine? She goes, I don't have any. Are you going to tell us your thoughts? She goes, God, no. If I did, y'all would hate it. She knew. She knew it was wrong. She knew it was bad. She typed all that nonsense out, and she's so self-absorbed and so narcissistic that she still hits send.
Yeah, if you don't hit send, if you just keep your mouth shut, you know what? People might still like you. But you hit send. You did the thing. You can never delete it. Now.
Trash person. Just trash. I don't. It is what it is. And I'm really happy that and that's the thing, that like everybody has come out and chastise this woman, but nobody's been like, talking about her trans identity as far as like as a descriptor, but I'm like, that's what we want because
only people that I've seen using that are people who are just like, I have to defend a trans woman on the internet from being attacked. Like pretend they're doing the Bernie Bro thing. They're doing the Bernie Bro thing, just sort of like pretending that they're attacking her because she's trans.
Well, one, it's the right thing to do. Which is also
gross. Because she herself wasn't doing that, by the way. That was people that are around her. So just to make that clear.
No, but one, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do because we're not monsters. Two, cynically, by not even getting close to that rail, now you've taken it away from that person as a shield. So they can't be like, oh, you're you're talking about Ethan Klein from H3H3. What does he always say? You just hate Jews. You hate Jews. You hate Jews. Who has said that to you, dog? Nobody. This is your last refuge.
Hassan said he hates Jews all the time.
Exactly. Oh yeah, every day.
He starts his show every day with I hate Jews mantra that he repeats every single day.
No, 100%. So it's like, so when you don't play into that and you take that away, you're taking away that person's either easy out or their refuge of last resort.
Yep.
To where they're like, I'm completely losing. Now I have to pull whatever social card I can because my actual ideas are trash and people are just dumping on them.
I do have one more thing on the dark woke stuff because it is, again, it also hits on this counterpoint piece, but like there is this sense that like what the Democrats are trying to do, what Gavin Newsom and a lot of them are trying to do is like move away from the quote unquote woke thing as calling people like the gay thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like they're essentially trying to say that the campaign that Kamala Harris ran last time was like a super woke campaign or whatever, so and it funny. It wasn't any. And I'm like, a lot of the woke stuff or whatever annoys me, but like, come on, balls and strikes. None of that stuff was in there.
The closest thing we had to like a multicultural, multi-ethnic, presidential campaign was like first term Obama.
Yeah,
maybe. Now, but that's really it. That actually like made it. I mean, you could say Bernie, obviously, but like Bernie never made it out of the primary.
Yeah. Well, last thing, got to bounce.
Yep.
Anything else you're gonna say on the way out?
No.
Stay dry. Where are you going?
Atlantic City. I'm gonna go play some poker and hang out for a weekend.
Classic. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. This has been your weekly Good Morning Comrade on WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. We're also on this space. We're also on YouTube, Twitch, all the stuff. Find all of our information at goodmorningcomrade.com. Follow me on Twitter at EminentProf. Tell the people bye-bye, Robert.
Bye, y'all.
We love you. Bye-bye. WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. Roll up on